Good morning, everyone. My name is Rob Housen. I'm an education technology consultant at Jones & Bartlett. What we're going to be doing today is going through the Smith Pharmacology for Nurses Navigate 2 title. We'd like to spend a little bit of time going through some of the high-level features and make sure that everyone has an understanding of the functionality that's available to you as an instructor, and also making sure you're aware of some of the improvements that we've made to the title, and also some of the specific title animations and other course improvements that are included with this Navigate 2 release. So without further ado, I'm just going to go ahead and share the actual course. We're going to jump right into the Navigate 2 course. And your screen may flicker for just a second as this comes up. So what you see before you now is basically what we refer to as our front page of our Navigate 2 course instance. This is a demo course set up, again, for the Pharmacology for Nurses title. So what we'd like to do now is just kind of walk you through some of the core pieces. Anyone who's familiar with a Moodle course might notice that the new format for our course is a little outside of the norm. We've moved from using Moodle 1.9 to using Moodle 2.4 as the underlying platform base. However, what this really means for you is that we've incorporated a number of different value and add-on features that as the product continues to progress and grow, we'll be adding more and more functionality, which is something that we were limited with our ability to do so in previous instances of Moodle. So in short, while this is a Moodle-based course, we've done some things to make it a little more proprietary to Jones & Bartlett and take some of the Moodle out of Moodle and make it a little more user-friendly. So this will look anything like any Moodle course you've seen before, and we think that that's a good thing. And as I said, it'll allow us to have a flexible and scalable tool so that down the road, as more and more feedback is received from instructors like yourself, we're able to incorporate more value-added tools and add to the actual platform. Now, in short, one of the things that you'll notice right off the bat is that we've segregated or compartmentalized the course material by a number of different ways. The first is what we refer to as the lessons pathway. This is this light blue tab that you see here. Now, each of the topic placards or chapters that you see below contain the individual pieces of the curriculum associated with that individual chapter. So in short, course materials are organized by topic or by chapter within this lessons pathway. The learning tools pathway is basically a reimagining of the same information, just organized by learning style. So for instance, all of the eBooks for all of the individual chapters are all organized in one easy to reach place. Same thing with the study center, where the flashcards, learning objectives, practice activities, slides, etc. Again, all organized in one place. So in short, this allows students to maybe focus their study habits based on their learning style. So if you have a student who's, for instance, an auditory learner or a repetitive learner, and they know that the flashcards work very well for them, they can come to this learning tools pathway in preparation for an exam and focus their energies on areas that they know resonate well with them, particularly as a student. This third tab is visible only to the instructor. It's referred to as the Teaching Tools pathway. Within the Teaching Tools pathway, instructors have access to the test bank, where they can have access to the Manage Items functionality, as well as the Manage Assessment functionality. The distinction is that Manage Items is where you can add, edit, delete, or create all new items or questions within the test bank. And then you obviously have the ability within Manage Assessment to add questions, remove questions, edit existing questions, or again, use some of those newly created questions of your own in individual assessments. There are preloaded assessments included in Navigate 2 specific to the chapter. There are both chapter quizzes and eBook quizzes, as well as midterm and final exams made available for the instructor. They're preloaded by default to the course, but we've not added them to the course. We've left that to the instructor to add appropriately where and when they would like within their course. Now, one of the other items that you'll notice that is a little different than Navigate 1 was the addition here of the Turn Editing On feature, this nice red button at the top of the page. When you turn editing on, a number of things will flicker a little bit on the page here for 1 second, and your view of the page will obviously change. The first thing you'll notice is that you now have access to what we refer to as the instructor's toolbox. The instructor's toolbox is merely another location for you as an instructor to have access to the manage assessments, manage items, and the manual grading functionality. The manual grading functionality is specific to grading subjective answers, so basically essay questions. Once you as an instructor grade an essay question, that grade for the entire assessment will then report into the gradebook. Until the manual grading piece is completed, it will not appear in the gradebook. There are a number of other administrative items that are left in this instructor's toolbox. We really just have those in there as a placeholder. This is invisible to the student. They never can see it. We needed a place to put them, and we felt that administrative features were best served to be stored in an instructor-only location. You'll also note that once we've turned editing on, within each topic or placard, you'll notice that we have what we refer to as icon-based navigation. This little four-pointed star allows you to move items around. This little highlight, the topic is the current topic, allows you to select a given item and make sure that your students then know that's the topic of focus for the week. The third icon here is a little eyeball, which allows you to hide an individual topic or placard in its entirety. It'll show up as grayed out for you as the instructor, but will not be available to the students at all. If you expand an actual topic placard, you'll notice that each of the pieces of the digital curriculum contain additional icons. The pencil allows you to edit an actual title or label. The arrow allows you to move to the right or left along the horizontal. The same four-pointed star allows you to move an item anywhere you'd like within that individual topic. This secondary move function allows you to move a piece to another topic or placard with one simple click. The little cog wheel is an update, which allows you to get at the underlying specifics and maybe refine the criteria or access to that particular item. The X is a delete, which is pretty self-explanatory. We do caution you that if you use the delete feature, it's not something that you can retrieve from either your trash bin or an undo option. You'll need to contact us, and we'll restore it to the course for you if you were to use that inadvertently. The last icon is, again, a little eyeball, which is a hide icon. Now, when I pull the course back up, for the sake of argument, if in our course we were going to focus on, say, Chapter 5, the autonomic nervous system, as our starting point, we could very easily, using the four-pointed arrow, move that to the upper left-hand corner, so it would appear in order as the first topic, and then we could also focus on it as being the current topic of the week for our students. Now, one thing that's also very unique about Navigate 2 is we can scroll down, and under the Switch Role To option, with one click, we can click in and see exactly what our students see when they log into the tool. And you'll note that the Lessons Pathway and Learning Tools pathway are the only tabs that are now visible to the student. The Teaching Tools pathway, which is visible only to the instructor, is hidden, as well as the Turn Editing On option. It's moved the Chapter 5 to this upper location here, and we'll have to do some quick checking on why that actually highlighted Chapter 4 and that central nervous system drugs. I may have glided over that before I hit the Switch Role To option. So with one click, I can return to my normal role. Again, turn editing on as an instructor once again. Minimize that, so I obviously hit that twice. We'll turn editing back on, and again, Chapter 5 will be set up as our current topic. And we'll close that expanded topic placard. Now, once within the course, the instructors obviously have the ability to edit some of our course material that's pre-existing or add material of their own. One of the features that we've added with Navigate 2 that we feel is a really vast improvement over previous platforms as well as competing platforms, would be our use of responsive design. So responsive design basically means that the tool will display the visible material in response to the size of your viewable screen. So if I minimize the size of my screen, screen with one click, you'll notice that what we had as folder tabs now appear as banners. And as we scroll down, you can see with just this one vertical scroll bar, we're able to scroll up and down and see all of the pertinent pieces of the course in one screen. What's great about this is if you've ever visited a website using a smartphone that wasn't really designed to be used on a smartphone, you know how troublesome and problematic it can be to move pieces around on that particular item. But also, when doing this, this also allows us to show what we refer to as our drag and drop functionality. I'm going to expand Chapter 1 and then scroll down here, and I'm going to grab a simple PDF that I have on my desktop. And as I pull it over, you'll notice that the Add Files Here option appears. When I let go and release my mouse, it's literally going to add that PDF directly into the course. And as easily as that, I'll re-expand and open Chapter 1 again. That particular PDF has been added to the course. So with that level of ease, you as an instructor can add material to your course where and when you see fit. You also have the ability within a given area to add specific activity. So for instance, if there were a particular YouTube video that you were looking to add to your course, perhaps something specific to the utilization of an EpiPen in an autonomic nervous system chapter, we would go to Add an Activity and then scroll down, and here you have the ability to add either an activity or a resource. The distinction is that an activity is something that's assignable and gradable and will therefore potentially show up in the gradebook should you deem it so. Otherwise, a resource is something you just want to share with your students. So if I click Page and Add, that'll bring us into a tool where we literally create the criteria or the filter material specifically for that edition. So I'm going to add the word video, and we'll search specifically for something perhaps with an EpiPen. And anything that has a red star next to it is a required element within Navigate 2 and therefore needs something added to it. And I will again just add the word video and EpiPen. I scroll down. Now, within Navigate, we now have the ability, using Moodle Media, to click on just this simple little celluloid icon here, which brings us into the Insert Moodle Media tool. I can click on Find or Upload a Sound, and select YouTube videos, and then if I use the word EpiPen, then I can search for, let's see, usage. We'll go ahead and search, and anything with that relevant term will show up. So here's a video that I, as an instructor, can hop out and take a look at, decide whether or not I like that one, see if it works for what I'm looking to achieve. I have a nice little animation here that appears to be visible. I can select this file, and once it comes up, take it just one second, I have the ability to basically preview that video and decide whether or not it works really for what I'm looking to do. So this is, again, specifically from the EpiPen company.
For a severe allergic reaction, also called anaphylaxis.
I can pause this and decide that, yep, this is exactly what I'm looking to add to the course. I click Insert, I scroll down, and I save and return to course. And then just as simply as that, that will embed that actual YouTube video within the actual course. So now when I scroll down, you'll see that the video EpiPen is displayed under Chapter 5. And then there it is, the actual video appears here for the students to be able to view at their convenience, basically, freeing up precious brick-and-mortar classroom time for you as an instructor to focus on areas that you really want to make sure your students have the ability to demonstrate comprehension on an ongoing basis. So the same thing can be done with other videos. Maybe you have a specific video that you've used for a while and you're used to it and you don't want to actually have to search for it. You know that video and you want to continue to use it. The same methodology, add an activity, and then scroll down and say Page again and click Add. Now as I expand, I actually have one bookmarked here that I find interesting. It's an asthma animation that's available out in YouTube. Now as this comes up, what this allows us to do is, again, this is a specific video that I'm familiar with, I like, and I want to continue to use and include in my course. Now I'm able to just click on Share and Embed, and I grab the underlying HTML here. I go back into my course. I add a title. In this instance, just asthma animation, and again, I'll just use the word video. And I scroll down, and now instead of clicking on Insert Moodle Media, I click on the Edit HTML source icon. I paste that underlying HTML there in. I click Update, and just as easily now I've added that specific video that I'm familiar with and have shown to my students in the past and would like to continue to utilize. And I've added that video just as easily to the respiratory medication topic placard. So if I expand that Chapter 7, we'll see that that video for asthma animation now appears there for the student. So just like that, we've been able to add specific course materials using a drag and drop functionality, as well as adding specific YouTube videos that might be useful to you as an instructor to include and really prepare your students for testing. Now, with regard to adding tests, we have preloaded default assessments to the course for you. And they're accessible from within any placard by clicking again on Add an Activity, and then selecting the quiz option and Add. Now again, we're logged in as a student at this point in time, excuse me, as an instructor. And when we add this quiz, we just need to provide it with a label. So we'll use Chapter 5 Quiz as the label for this particular quiz. I scroll down and I set my remediation options. By default, it's set at after the quiz is closed. So this will require remediation will not be available to the student unless there is a close date defined within the quiz. So if I select the Chapter 5 quiz, and then I provide it with a due date. So for instance, we'll set the due date as this upcoming Thursday, the 29th of January, for 10 a.m. Now, I also now will allow access. I'll decide here the window of opportunity for my students to be able to access that particular assessment. You don't have to restrict access if you'd prefer not to. But if you don't restrict access, the after the quiz is closed option means that your students won't have access to any remediation. There are two other options. The other option is immediately after the attempt and never. So if you do choose to not restrict access, you likely will want to use the immediately after the attempt option for remediation to allow your students to still be able to remediate. So now we can open this quiz up, let's say on the 27th, and then we'll close it on the 29th. And we'll set the close for 9:55. Now just as easily as that, we've added that actual assessment, the Chapter 5 quiz, which again was preloaded directly into the course. And that assessment will now be available for your students within that individual topic placard for Chapter 5. Which we've moved to be the first topic here in our course. It shows the restricted as being available from the 27th of January to the 29th of January at 9:55. It'll also appear here in the calendar on the 29th, which is the applicable due date. And when I click on that, it'll show the students the upcoming assignments and activities that they have required. And this will again be the Chapter 5 quiz. They can launch it directly from this location as well. And once a student launches the quiz, again, it would be unavailable to a student, but as an instructor, we'll be able to launch it and show you the actual assessment engine. There is a timer that appears in the upper right-hand corner, and as students move through this simple 10-question assessment, they are timed. By default, most assessments are set to a 2-hour window. You as an instructor have the ability to edit or manage that within the Manage Assessments tool, and that's something we'll take a look at in a couple of minutes. But obviously, once the student has completed their assessment, they would submit assessment, and then that grade would be shared with the gradebook. Pardon me for just a second. Take just 1 second here. I apologize for the delay. Slight blip on this side where the technology on my side didn't cooperate with where my head was going at that particular point in time. Now, one thing that is also useful to instructors and students within Navigate 2 is the ability to actually utilize the technology with mobile devices. So, for instance, a particular item, perhaps an iPad or another tablet of some kind. What we've done is that we've allowed students to be able to access the material offline using what we refer to as the Navigate e-reader. Now, I'm just going to pull up some screenshots really briefly of the actual e-reader device and give you an idea of how your students, when they access the tool, will be able to do so from that mobile device. All other components of the curriculum or the title are available via mobile tools. The e-book itself does require the free app, which is, again, the Navigate e-reader. And once that e-reader becomes available for the student, the way that they access it, very simply, I believe it's hopefully in this slide here. Oh. Here we go. I apologize. Here we go. So the e-book requires them to literally have the Navigate e-reader, which is, again, a free app, and it is available from either the iTunes Store or the Google Play Store. As a student accesses the iTunes app store, they would then literally search for Navigate e-reader. It's a free app that they would then download. And once it's available on their device, they log in with the same credentials, username, and password that they use to access their course via jblearning.com. And once they access the course material from their mobile device, they'll have access to what we refer to as their virtual bookshelf. So this will allow the students to see all of the titles that they've redeemed access codes for. This downloads the actual material in what we refer to as a flat file that doesn't include by default the interactive elements associated with the ebook. However, if, for instance, a student wanted to be able to take particular chapters offline, they're given the opportunity to select the individual interactive components that they would like to download. By default, we choose to not download all of those interactive elements because the ebook is such a robust tool and contains so much information. If we downloaded all of the interactives to the user's device as soon as they launched, what would happen is basically we'd take up all of the available space on the device. So we've given them the opportunity to really decide where and when they'll have that material available to them and then use that material effectively. So now we're going to hop back into our course, and without further ado, we'll literally go into the actual ebook and start showing you some of that high-level interactive curriculum that's included within the ebook. So again, we're going to focus here again on the Chapter 5, the autonomic nervous system. I expand the chapter, and I select the ebook. Now, the ebook is just what you would imagine, a digitized version of the textbook, but it is far more robust than a basic flat ebook that many publishers use today. Our tool will provide the student, as well as you, the instructor, with some really powerful dashboard analytics based on their utilization of the tool. So Chapter 5, again, and as you scroll through the actual text, students are periodically presented with what we refer to as these animations. Now, these animations are available under the resource section as well, and students can, with one look, see all of the animation that is available in this particular textbook. So, for instance, the protein binding animation is the hyperlink tool, allows you to click right on it and launch that. And I'm not sure if you're able to hear that.
Binding to the same plasma protein, there will be a drug competition for binding sites. Only the unbound or free form of the drug can move out of the bloodstream and reach the target site, producing an effect. When two drugs are given, the second drug can displace the first protein, increasing increasing its potential to have an effect. Binding may be temporary, depending on a drug's affinity for protein binding.
So I'm not sure how much of that you were able to hear, but obviously you were able to see the video animation as it was presented. These animations are throughout the textbook and the title, available for the student to really make sure they have something to go through and, again, have that demonstrated comprehension reiterated to them again and again, and available at any point in time, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. The students also have the ability to take annotations so they can leave notes for themselves at an individual area in the text, really any place they'd like. There we go, and I'm just going to leave a note here to tell myself to study for final exam this particular area, and I go ahead and I save that note. Now, as I scroll through additional pages, and we also have the page turning functionality turned on right now within the tool, and I apologize, my mouse is acting a little sporadic right now. Okay, so the page turning function, we found that that's useful for people who may be averse to using a digital technology. They're used to an actual hard copy physical textbook. So turning on the page turning where it actually mimics the actual flow of turning from page to page can be helpful in those instances. I'm going to turn it off here just to expedite our ability to move throughout the tool. Students are also periodically presented with knowledge checks. So any of these little green stars are either a knowledge check or a chapter quiz, which are included, again, by default in the actual ebook. So when the student launches an individual knowledge check, it allows them to answer these specific items, a couple little true-false questions. And again, I apologize, I'm no pharmacologist, so I'm just going to hit this, and I'll submit my assessment, and it'll tell me which question I got correct and which question I got incorrect. Hopefully we get them all correct, but again, the also offers you the ability to review that individual question to be able to hopefully, again, demonstrate comprehension. As the students go through, they're also able to highlight individual areas. Now, it's important to note that the annotations which they make are being captured by our dashboard analytics. So that allows the instructor to see at any point in time with real-time analytics how their students are using the actual ebook. There we go. And that's not a very clear highlight, but again, I apologize. My mouse seems to be moving very, very strangely. And it might be the result of the WebEx, which we frequently see. Sometimes things move a little awkwardly throughout this. There we go. We'll go to another page here. Now again, there's a number of different practice activities included, and again, as well as those chapter quizzes. And there are also a number of animations that we find are very, very interesting and positive for the student to have access to. So for instance, the administration of a subcutaneous injection is included here. And once you do hyperlink, that actual page will appear and the actual icon for that item will be displayed. And we'll let that just run for a couple seconds. But you can see that the animation presents pretty straightforward instruction, as well as a visible animation for the student to be able to really come back to if they need to for practice, or to make sure that they have access to that material on an ongoing basis to really, again, focus on it and make sure they have a full understanding. We've also included within the ebook a number of tools. For instance, any notes which you've taken show up here in the My Stuff area. So the highlights which we've made, as well as the notes we've made earlier here today, appear and again are hyperlinked for the student. So again, taking notes periodically throughout the semester, they can click on those notes and then be brought directly to that area to study for a final exam or a midterm examination. They have the ability to create cross-reference links. So for instance, perhaps they found a particular piece of the title where they seem, okay, I saw something relevant to this before, perhaps on page 45, and they provide a label for it for themselves. And then that cross-reference exists for them. And then when we click on that, it should take us directly to page 45 of the text. So again, really valuable tools allowing the student to immerse themselves within the actual ebook and take full advantage of the material that's there. So for this demo course, we have redeemed some access for some specific students, again, dummy students, but they have been out there and taken some time and actually interacted with the ebook. One also final note, you'll note that when you want to leave the page, it prompts you to let you know that your data may not have been saved. To save the data, you literally just click on this little icon here. Now, it's important that students are aware that they should be saving their data every time before they leave the ebook, because what that's then doing is capturing that information and making it available for the instructor within the dashboard analytics in the the ebook usage report. So I'll go ahead and save these changes that I've made in here as an instructor. My results won't actually display in that report because, again, I'm an instructor and not a student. But that will bring us into our gradebook, which will give you the opportunity to see, again, students that are in the course. Course hasn't started, so there's no actual grades available to them. But with week 5 being the current topic, we're able to, by hopping in the ebook report, see what the students have done so far, specifically to the Chapter 5 ebook. Now, we set our time frames. For instance, we'll just go from January 1st through January 26th today. And this will report out what the most popular chapters are, so as well as the least popular chapters. It's letting the student see, as well as the instructor, more importantly for the instructor, where the most time is being spent. So obviously our current topic for the week is Chapter 5. 106 views have taken place. Chapter 7, maybe some students jumped ahead, and maybe there's been a couple little people that have just poked around a little bit. Now, under the class engagement area, when we show all, this will show us all of the associated chapters and where the time and annotations and resources have been viewed within that particular chapter. Excuse me. You'll note that best performing and worst performing chapters aren't populated. Again, this ebook usage report is only going to return information for assessments that have been taken. So at this point in time, no one's actually taken any of these assessments in our demonstration, but we have had some students who have been in there, so we also can't see their best performers and worst performers. There's no grades to make those comparisons to at this point. But we have seen that there's been some time spent in the course, and specifically particular to Chapter 5. These are actually linked, which allow the instructor to drill down even further and get at some more granular level detail. By default, it's going to show us Chapter 1, so we're going to just move to Chapter 5, which is our current, our highlighted topic. And then under student engagement, I can see how individual students are performing. So I can see student Helm has made 9 annotations within the ebook. They're really taking use of it, and they've viewed 5 resources, but they've done that in just under about half an hour. So it sounds like they may just be kind of powering through it. Whereas student Bediger has been in the ebook for almost 8 hours, has viewed 4 resources, and made 3 annotations. We can drill down a little further and see the actual number of pages viewed. Now Helm somehow has gone through those 49 pages, viewed 5 resources, and done that in that very small period of time. Again, no grades displayed at this point because no assessments have been taken. Bediger has spent those 8 hours on those 16 pages. He appears to be really, really involved in making sure that he's immersed in that information and allowing it to fully be available to him. He's really potentially watched those resources in depth and made sure that he fully understands the available animations that are present in that particular chapter. Again, most viewed and least viewed resources. This information will become more valuable, obviously, to an instructor as the course goes on, and you're able to see exactly how your students are engaging with the course material. Now, as I hop back into our course and I return to the lessons pathway, I'd just like to spend a couple minutes near the close of our session here going into the teaching tools pathway and showing how instructors have access to the test bank. If I click on Manage Items, again, this is going to show me the available questions within a given area of the course. So I'm going to expand the actual title, and we'll select Chapter 5 again. Now, here are the questions that exist within this particular title in this particular chapter. I can edit any given question by just clicking on the Edit option, and this will bring up literally the item bank. This explains to me how this is a multiple choice question. again, the actual title of the question is displayed, as well as the options for answers and what is the correct answer. Now, we also are incorporating Bloom's taxonomy as well as complexity tags within our assessments. Not available here within the item manager area. That would be accessed within Manage Assessments. Now, if I launch Manage Assessments, this will allow, again, me as an instructor, expanding the title, expanding the chapter, and then selecting the actual assessment in particular. So we're going to look at the eBook quiz, and we'll go ahead and edit that eBook quiz. And now if I go to the Select Items area, we can see what type of question has been added. But if I go into Add Items, I'm able to see the type of question and then the complexity of the question based on the complexity tagging that exists. Again, I'm going to go to Chapter 5, and we can see the item type, multiple drag and drops, image labeling, and then the complexity is provided here as well. The Bloom's taxonomy piece would be available to instructors once an assessment has actually been taken, and then both the instructor and the student have the ability to drill down into a more granular level and see their actual grades and the returned Bloom's taxonomy information that's there. But the complexity tags are visible here within the Manage Assessments tool. That one. We'll hop back into our course here and return to the lessons pathway. So again, at this point in time, I guess what I want to reiterate to you once again that the tool allows you as an instructor to really kind of customize the material to your liking. Some of our existing content can be edited and really molded to meet your needs, but you also have the ability with relative ease of use to drag and drop pieces of your own curriculum right into the course, as well as really focus on the material that's there by default, and then refine that as well as you see fit. So that being said, I'd like to just go ahead and open the table up if anybody has any questions that I might be able to answer for them at this point in time. Great. Well then, I thank you very much for spending the time with me this morning. I hope that this met everyone's needs. And if you have any questions or concerns about how to best interact with Navigate 2, we encourage you to reach out to our team, the Education and Technology Consultants. We're here to really help students as well as instructors, but primarily instructors, for making sure they're getting the most out of their course. The course can be set up, obviously, exactly how you'd like, and we'd like to make this as seamless a transition as possible for you as an instructor. So with that being said, we thank you very much for taking the time to sit with us today, and we look forward to working with you in the future with your Smith title, Pharmacology for Nurses. Thank you very much.